Hello, everyone. My name is LaShonda McAllister. Please excuse me, I am under the weather. But I'm going to be talking about the Black Freedom Movement, freedom movement, civil rights activism, all of that. So first, what is Black Freedom Movement? Black Freedom Movement is a movement in a distinct era in the African American struggle for the civil and the human rights that began mid-1940s with a surge in public protests and ended in the mid-1970s with a shift in emphasis toward electoral politics. Black Freedom Movement also encompasses two of the most enduring and unique periods of Black activism. That is a quote that I got from keywords.nyupress.org. During this time period was it was challenging, but it was also exceptional to African Americans, by the 1970s. Things are starting to come together. By this time, colors have earned their right to vote, which was passed during the 15th Amendment back in 1870. As I was doing some reading online and in a book about the Black Freedom Movement, I learned from a website called invisiblehistory.org that reading about the goals and the milestones of the Black Freedom Movement. And they talk about how that during the Black Freedom Movement that the coloreds would be able to have more jobs for minorities, that they would be able to receive the same education that others have received, they would receive free housings, and they would have an equal opportunity. That was very big for African Americans. That's all they wanted. They wanted to put an end to everything that was going on, and I say for during that time period, they used the quote or the line that we say, stand for something or fall for nothing. They wanted that economic empowerment. They wanted that freedom. They wanted to be able to voice their opinion, and they just wanted to be heard. The Black Freedom Movement and the Civil Rights Movement, they were somewhat the same. They probably had a few differences, but in all, they were basically, talking about the same thing. You know, the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Freedom Movement both wanted to put an end to racism. They wanted to put that end into racial segregation. They wanted everyone to come together as a whole, be able to do everything, have everyone be treated fairly. One thing that plays a big part in the Black Freedom Movement is, I would say, the Brown vs. Board of Education, which that was the decision that was made back in 1954. I want to talk about a quote. I want to pull a quote that Dr. Suttell posted in one of the PowerPoints. I'm going to read this off my notes. The name of the PowerPoint was called Black Power, Fair Housing, where, it talked about Black Power and it talked about things that happened during that time. And the quote was, "It was neither apocalyptic events nor movement messiahs that set the stage for the radicalization of Black politics, but rather the slow and hard work of organizing by an historian whose name was Hassan Kwame Jeffers." I'm going to say that, learning about the Black Freedom Movement, the Civil Rights Movement, and not even just that, everything that was going on during that time period, that is something that we all should know. Is very interesting, and it's very education. It is a very good important part of history that I feel like everyone should know. Before I end this video, I was going to talk about off the website. The name of the website is crmvet.org, And also, as I talked about the civil rights, they are on here talking about the effects of civil rights and the voting of civil rights. And one thing that did catch my attention is, the civil rights was an act that was signed into law in 1964. That Civil Rights Act, it was a historic victory, but also a crucial milestone during this time. During the Civil Rights Act, it did not end racial inequality at that time, discrimination or injustice. And it states, and I quote, passing the Civil Rights Act of 1964 codified a huge victory for the freedom movement. That was a big, big thing. It was 80 years, effective race-related civil rights legislation. And I want to say that the Civil Rights Act, from the influence of the freedom movement as a whole, and they talk about, without the freedom movement, there would not have been no act, which is true. And without the movement's inspiration and support, the few black people who would dare implement it by patronizing formerly white-only establishments or sending their children to white-only schools. That is one thing that we talk about, that's putting an end to racial segregation. That's not nothing that we wanted. It's not even just about colors, it was also about women, having their freedom or being able to do what they wanted to do. Again, my name is LaShawna McAllister, and thank you for watching.